Good day, everyone. Today, we will be exploring African art, and together, we will learn about their history, famous artists, features, and examples of famous artworks. As we talk about African art, this will serve as our guide for today. The first discussion will be focused on African art history, followed by the famous artist, and then characteristics, features, and the last one will be the examples of famous artworks. But before we formally started, did you know African art are estimated to be over 20,000 years old? Africa also possesses a long tradition of masking, and it is believed that masks were integral to their culture. The abstract nature of African art also had an influence on the modern art movements of Europe.
Good day everyone. Today we will tackling about the history of African art. What is the history of African art? Its origins of African history lie before recorded history preserved in the obscurity of time. Rock art is the earliest art form in Africa. Rock art is centuries old, while shell beads fashioned for a necklace have been recovered in a cave in the furthest reach of the Sardin Peninsula of South Africa that are 75,000 years old. Later, dwellings were constructed of animal skins and still later, water and daub a framework of woven sticks covered with a layer of mud to seal the dwelling from the elements. A study of African art history indicates the earliest sculpture found came from Nigeria and are dated around 500 BC. And wooden masks feature heavily in traditional artworks and originate mostly from Western African countries.
Henry Tayali was a multilingual Zambian. He known for painter, printmaker, sculptor, raconteur, and lecturer. He has been described as Zambia's most famous painter. His notable work, The Graduate, The Ball, and Destiny. Cherry Samba was a founding member of the popular painting school along with Per Bodo. His painting exposing everyday life in the Democratic Republic of Congo capital city, Kinshasa. His representative of 10 fantastical paintings incorporate graphic narrative and figures with text and word bubbles that address forefront social and political issues, including AIDS, social inequity, and corruption. Starting in the 1980s, Samba began to portray himself frequently and literally in his work, taking on a direct role as the reporter of his ideas and personal story. I appeal to people consciences, he says. Artists must make people think. One of his work is Sida, I Love Color, and The Debut. Yanka Suniber, born on August 9, 1962, is a British Nigerian artist living in the United Kingdom. His work explores cultural identity, colonialism, and post-colonialism within the contemporary context of globalization. A hallmark of his art is a brightly colored Ankara fabric he uses, because he has a physical disability that paralyzes one side of his body. Schuniber uses assistants to make works under his direction. One of his works is Nelson's Shift in a Battle, The American Library, and How Does a Girl Like You Get to Be a Girl Like You?
African art has many characteristics, some of which include creative expressionism over realism, the prevalence of images and sculpture of human figure, larger focus on sculpture rather than painting, abstract themes and representations, melding visual and performance arts, such as in the case of mask and non-linear scaling. Human figure and strong formal qualities were exhibited, with strong design features creating balance and harmony. Design qualities combined with a powerful spirituality and expressive figure attracted. It should also be noted that a primary component of traditional African art is performance and assemblage. The combination of music, dance, dress, and bodily ornamentation, as well as sculpture and mask, is frequently what imparts both significance and dynamism to individual art objects.
Now, let's talk about African famous artworks. The first one is the painting or the rock painting. So in Africa, rock painting is the most important and is common heritage of all African and all people. It is a common heritage of humanity. Rock painting are Africa's oldest continuously practiced art form. The visual impact of rock art made thousand years ago is a powerful reminder of the artistic skills and sophistications of the belief system of our ancient forebears. The second one is the architecture. African architecture reflect the interaction of environmental factors such as natural resources, climate, and vegetation with the economies and population. Also, ancient architecture in Africa points to diverse cultures and history. Various materials were used across the continent to create unique and impressive structures. One of their famous architectural artworks is the Great Mosque and temples. The Great Mosque is one of the most unique religious buildings in the world. It is the largest mud-built structure in the world. Also, Africa believe that this mosque is erected in the 13th century. The third one is their textiles. African textiles can be used as a historical documents. Cloth can be used to commemorate a certain person, event, and even political cause. African textiles are the major form of expression that Africans use to define themselves. The fourth one is the sculpture. African sculpture are very varied. It can be bringing fertility, rain, good harvest, and warding of disease. The significance of African sculpture is it can be imagined as having magical power to their creators, helping to bring about the wishes of an individual or community. The fifth famous artworks of African is their wooden mask. In Africa, masks played an important role in these traditions. They were created to portray ancestors, animals, and mythical heroes in the hopes that the spirit would please and would bless the tribe with protection or good tidings. African masks are carved out of wood. Wood is usually chosen partly because it is readily available for African communities. Also, there are some have been made out of bronze, brass, and copper ivory. There is a famous quote from the famous American rapper, singer, songwriter, and actor named Mos Def. According to him, African art is functional. It serves a purpose. It is not dormant. It is not a means to collect the largest sharing section. It should be healing, a source, a joy, spreading positive vibration.